Each week, we take a moment, sit down, and talk about things going on at the road in what we call the Road Detour.
Hey, well, welcome to the Road Detour. We always want to let you know that we appreciate you taking sometimes significant time out of your week to sit and watch us talk about life and what God's doing here at the road and try to have a little fun with you.
I love these moments, getting to learn from you, but getting just to have a good time, cut up a little bit, and hang out with you guys.
So we're about to do the old table topics now.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't know what that is, you can Amazon that. It's a great tool to use with your family, to use in your marriage. There's all kinds of variations of it. But we're about to do which version? What are we doing today?
This is past, present, and future.
Past, present, future. Great.
Hey, and we have some couples-based table topics for Friday nights.
Date night. So if you participate in date night, and the child care is full, but if you're a couple and you can get your own child care, don't need child care, go ahead and sign up because periodically you're going to get texts, these discussion questions.
Yeah, and you can just text the word date night, and it's D, the number 8, and then NIGHT to 405-390-9002. That'll get you signed up.
Just for clarity, if we missed getting our kids signed up, we can just bring them and you and Stephanie take care of it.
Drop them at our house, and we won't be there, but you can drop them at our
Your house is on Hiawassee, right?
Yeah, that's right. Perfect.
So,
all right, here we go.
Ready for number one?
Let's do it.
Number one.
If you could time travel to permanently alter one historical event, what would it be?
Wow.
Wait, so when you say permanently alter one historic event, so that means can I time travel back to where I'm at right now?
Sure.
I know mine.
You already know yours? Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's not going to be like I'm going to let the world's motion keep going. I definitely would go back to my senior year in high school, and me and my dad had an argument that continues to this day to be in my mind that I wish I could change, because I think it was a moment that we really struggled moving on from. Wow. And so I would more than anything, the world's going to do what the world does, but I would change what that did to hurt mine and his relationship for the next 30 years after that.
Wow. That's a big answer. My answer pales in
thank you for
comparison
not
to that.
pushing me on that. I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
But
that's all right.
Yeah,
that's all right. It's a great answer now, because then my mind started going, what about my family stuff? And look, for my family and for everybody's family out there, it's like we said Sunday, there's a lot more flawed families than there are perfect families. Mine's flawed deeply in ways, and I bear the burden of a lot of that flawing, in my own life. My first thought was, to me, probably recently in my life, not recently in my life, but in my world, I guess the biggest event that probably changed history was World War II and the number of people that died.
You weren't alive in World War II?
No,
Okay.
no, but it was just in my world, right?
Okay, I got you.
Is that it's recent enough that
I was like, dang, dude, you
people that I know, people that I knew fought there. No, I'm not quite that old. And how hard it was on families, and how many people lost somebody they loved. That might be my answer.
Cool. I think that's hard. Like, so I was thinking about, because I didn't really want to share my thing about me and my dad, but I don't know what one person can do to really change, like,
The flow of history.
Like, what if you were hiding behind the curtain behind Abraham Lincoln so he wouldn't get shot, right? I mean, could you really have changed that, or would you have got shot?
And how do you know that would change for the good?
Right.
Because
that's a good. Yeah,
in
that's
our
a
minds
great
it
point.
would, but we just don't know. That's true.
It is.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's
Next
really
question.
good. Yeah.
What's on your bucket list?
Ooh, dude. Just super simple things. I want to go out west. We're trying to plan up a trip to Jackson Hole this year. I'm not sure it's going to happen though.
I love Jackson Hole.
I've never been to Big Sky Country, and kind of want to do that. I don't have any big desire to go to Europe or Italy, or just never has really appealed to me. I like the beauty of nature, and that would be one of my things.
That's good. The bucket list. I don't know what my bucket list items would be. So, because I don't know if I'm the type of person, if I have something I really want to do, then I really alter my life to try to make that happen. Allison's bucket list item, though, how about this, is to go to Hawaii. So her grandfather was at Pearl Harbor when that happened. And so being able to go to Hawaii, I personally think it'd be neat to see where Pearl Harbor took place. But I would enjoy watching and helping her bucket list item actually happen. I will say our current bucket list is I need to go on a date. And I'm sad I'm not going to be here for date night. I'll be in D.C. with my son, but I'm ready to go on a date.
Have a date night.
But if we could go to Hawaii, if anybody watching has a condo in Hawaii, can we give them a tax write-off if they let us use it? Is there any way we can do
I
that?
can't.
Oh, the church can? Anyways, Hawaii.
Okay, last question. What would you like your great-great-grandchildren to know about you?
You know, I saw a Facebook reel, and it was a really old couple, and they had 7 adult children, and randomly their 7 adult children showed up with sleeping bags at their house and did a sleepover.
Say that again.
So this really old couple, right?
Okay.
They had to be into their 80s, maybe late 80s. All their kids were grown, and one night they knocked on the door, and all 7 adult children showed up at their parents' house with sleeping bags.
Wow, I love
threw
that.
them in the floor and had a movie night. And somebody said, great families, you can always tell great and strong families because their children always want to come back. And I thought that was a good thing.
So that's something, I'll say this and then I'll get reminded of the question and I'll answer it, is that we don't watch a lot of Andy Stanley, but in his and whatever his wife's name's like podcast is that they do on family, his whole thing is they parent so that their kids will always want to come back home. And that's
cool.
Their goal of parenting. What was the question?
What would you like your great-great-grandchildren to know about you?
I don't know. I mean, there's so much. Again, we're going to talk about this book in a second, Like a River. One of the things that his dad, that he introduced himself as, which I loved because he was a man of integrity. And I would love my future family to know that they have a grandpa that did the best he could with what he was given to not only be the man that he needed to be, but to create a path, right, for his family to also be great men and women of God.
You know, the broken path is easier to choose. The wide path, as to use of biblical language. Yeah. It's a lot easier to choose than the narrow path. And frustration for parents as they get older is to lay down the narrow path and then watch your kids choose the wide path. And I wish there was an easy answer for that. I do. There's not. We pray and we live by faith that those kids will come back to their walk with God when you have adult kids. But I love that answer of laying out integrity for you, because I do think the life we live greatly influences both ways the children we raise.
Yeah, I think when I think about how many greats were in that question? 2. I don't know anything about my great-great-grandparents. I know nothing. So I know my great-grandfather was a pastor. Mm-hmm. And so in Western North Carolina. And I don't really know much that was on my dad's side. I don't know much about my great-grandparents on my mom's side, great-great-grandparents. And so
I come from a long line of heathens, brother.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got somebody in your family that killed someone, didn't you?
I got multiple people in my family.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, you can do a Google search and find out.
Do you know what one of my favorite... No, I'm not going to tell you that. It's not appropriate. But I will say, again, I want if my great grandkids can remember me, I want them to know that I did everything I could, even though I know I blow it and have blown it many times, to really pull it together, make things right, and to forge ahead for them.
Yeah,
because I know it's cliche to say I don't live for me, and I try not to. I really do try to do the things that I do, not only to grow the kingdom, but I want my family. And this is something that Allison and I have talked through a lot. And I've talked with you. I know for sure, Vic, about it, is that I want to have, this sounds crazy and it may seem very self-serving. I try to, with our finances, do things in such a way that I will have enough that my kids can truly pursue what it is that God's calling them to do without
There's
having
freedom.
to feel the burden of a lot of the finances that
The Bible says a
in my
wise
family.
man leaves an inheritance to his children's children.
So, I don't know if it'll get to children's children, but at least in my kids, I hope that that they feel a little bit less burden and more confidence. And if they need to go do X, whatever that is, right, is that they may have to sacrifice for it, but it's not going to be as much of a sacrifice
Right.
as it could have been if I had not set some things up.
Right. That's cool.
Cool.
Is that it? Is that our last
it.
one? So we're going into week 2 of
Hey, give
our
this book away real
Oh
quick.
yeah, yeah. So last week we told you type the word river in the comments and that we would choose someone, and we did, and we chose
Bobby Joe.
Hamilton, Bobby
about
Joe
that?
Hamilton. See
You're
you at
welcome.
church. You can come by the office, or we'll give it to you Sunday. You type the word river in our YouTube channel, and you got the word.
Bobby Joe, thanks for the $10 you gave me. That had no persuasion on how we chose you. But seriously, no, but honestly, Bobby Joe, it's going to be great. And I'll give it to you. No, I would say this Sunday. We'll give it,
Yeah,
we'll give it to her this
somebody
Sunday.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just check with us. We'll get it to you for sure. This Sunday's week 2 of the Warrior Series, because there's some things in life worth fighting for. And we're actually going to touch on the topic of what is it as followers of Jesus that we fight for. And there are 3 things. Go ahead and tip my hand to the message. The battle for the heart. Actually, it's the battle for holiness is our first one. And that includes the heart, the mind, and the body. The battle for family, which is the battle against culture. It's the battle for holiness is the battle against sin. The battle for family is the battle against culture. And the battle for eternity is the battle against hell. And we're going to talk about those. It's a really interesting message. But what I wanted Matthew and I to dialogue a little bit about, and I think it's one of the hardest issues to come to terms with when you're parenting or in our own lives, and that is the difference between where's the line between sacred and secular. So I'm going to throw a few questions out at you. Do you listen to secular music?
I do.
I do too. I'm not trying to set you up.
Yeah. I think that there are some secular music that I don't listen to as much anymore. I'm kind of weird about my music. So I actually enjoy Guns N' Roses, Metallica, some of the old rock and roll, but I don't like their heavy metal stuff. I like their ballad stuff. Right. And so, but primarily I listen to what I'd say 80s and 90s country and probably 80s, 90s and 2000s rap. I don't like the new stuff rap. I can't do a lot of that stuff. It's too. But I do like. How about you? Do you like it? Do you listen to?
I listen to a lot of 70s rock. I listen to a lot of country. If I'm riding around, I don't listen to music. I'm always listening to either sports talk show. Try to listen to a podcast every now and then. But I target songs. I'll want something, and it's not unusual to go to my YouTube thing and I'll type in 70s ballads and I'll just let them play.
Yeah. Do you listen to Taylor Swift?
No, I don't. Yeah, we're going to talk about Taylor. And what brought that up, and we're going to talk about it a little bit Sunday, so just so that you know, lyrical content makes a lot of decisions for me. Same way, look, the content of whatever it is, secular movies, is there such a thing as a secular movie that can be good? Absolutely. There's horrible ones, there's good ones, there's secular songs that are good, there's secular songs that fly in the face of everything we would say we believe as a follower. So how do you make those decisions? Like if your family's going to do something, how do you come to make those decisions?
About choosing between secular and sacred?
Yeah, what you're going to watch, what you let your kids listen to.
So, well, first of all, if we watch a movie at home, and we do watch a lot of movies, is that if it's PG-13, that means I've watched it first.
Okay.
Right. So
you screened it.
Right. Or I kind of know, let's say I've read enough reviews and heard enough from people I trust that I'm fine if my kid watches this, right? Max is 13, so he technically it's kind of in line with him. But even with PG-13, I don't want there to be nudity. I don't want there to be things that's going to set my kid up
Right.
for failure. If there have been movies, and I'm trying to think of one right off the bat. There has been a couple PG-13 movies that I've let multiple of my kids watch.
I'm going to pause you. I'm going to ask you a hard question, right?
Okay.
This is an uncomfortable question.
Uh-oh.
Just letting you know. How many, I started to say naked ladies, I'll say pornographic images, did you have to see before it changed your life? To me, it was one.
What do you mean change my life?
It changed the course of, you start asking questions. You think about conversations we've had about our families
Yeah.
where our kids start asking questions because of something they saw in a movie and they go, oh, whoa, stop. What's that? And what did that mean?
Yeah.
Is that how many of those experiences before the road starts to veer a little bit and we create a curiosity that's unhealthy in the life of our kids?
I remember, this is crazy, and this is very telling about something. Okay, so I remember when I was a little boy. This was when everybody would like the bootleg movies were like they had recorded in their VHS. You know what I mean? And my dad brought home a movie for me to watch that a fellow teacher with him
Bootlegged.
had given him for me to watch, and I remember laying in the basement on the couch with my dogs on the floor, and the movie ended, and I didn't want to get up and like turn it off. I was just being lazy. And it became pornography. And I remember that, and I told my parents, and I never, to this day, I've never fully been able to get those images out of my head.
Yeah.
Like I don't think about them, but like in this moment, unfortunately, right? It's
Right.
like, oh yeah, I remember this.
But I want our families to see that you go, oh well, there was just a little bit. Sometimes that's all it takes.
Well, so the movie wasn't. Let me say this: the movie had no nudity.
It was what the guy recorded over.
It was right, exactly. And so, and that really did change my life because it
creates an
shocked
unhealthy
me.
curiosity.
That's right.
Yeah, and I would go with the same thing, man. I can remember the first image I saw that begins like, well, what else is out there?
Yeah.
And that is at a certain age in a kid's life, it's beyond their ability to manage. So I
Yes.
think as parents, man, we become the filter. We set the boundaries, and our world is really throwing some stuff at us. And we talked about Taylor Swift. I'm going to mention this Sunday, so be ready. 12 of the 31 songs that in her double album release are labeled explicit.
Wow.
Yeah. In her 16, 8, in the single album, 8 of them are. And I don't know what the explicit content is, but is that something you choose for your kid, or that you just look at your kid and go, yeah, sure, you can listen to it?
So let me say this, because we listened to a Christian rapper, NF, and I mentioned this to Jason not too long ago. One of the songs on his album is listed as explicit, but there's no cussing in it.
Right.
So he said, which I haven't researched, I trust him, it was about
I think it's suicide.
Suicide.
I think, if I remember
So,
correctly.
but now listen, just because something is, so at church, we do sermon series where we tell parents don't bring your kids in.
right, or be mindful of what could be said. Right.
Because what we deal with from a spiritual perspective is too much for a child to handle.
Yeah. So, and I think that goes back to how Allison and I try to parent our kids, is that Allison's really good at this. I'm terrible at it. But what is the correct age appropriateness of every conversation that we have, the things that we listen to or watch? Because there are things that seems kiddie to me that's actually real grown up for my kids.
Right.
And I haven't always done a great job of being like, oh, they're going to be fine with this. No, it's crazy. And I say this, I'm going to say it. So it's amazing to me how many TV shows that are good, but their lead characters are homosexual. Mm-hmm. And if that's what happens in a dude's life, or whatever, or a woman's life, it is what it is. But I don't want my kids who are 5
exposed to it.
So, and we're not talking, SWAT. Have you ever watched SWAT? Mm-hmm. So I love that show. Matter of fact, my daughter Ellery loves it, right? And we watch it on occasion. There was an entire season we stopped watching because I didn't want her to, quite honestly, I wasn't ready to answer questions that I wasn't ready to answer, right? And I didn't want her to be confused. And so it was really hard because this is not a PG-13 show. It's just literally like daytime.
It's a network show.
It's a network show, which in theory shouldn't be bad.
It's a cultural shift, and that's why the battle for your family is a battle against culture. My home pastor, the guy that mentored me, used to say, the only way you'll know you'll never be an alcoholic is to never take your first drink."
Huh, yeah.
And his father was an alcoholic, so that was a big deal to him. But that applies to so many things. Is that first exposure?
Well, I've mentioned this to you before. Adrian Rogers, probably hands down my favorite pastor ever. He has a quote that I love, and he says, and it's kind of similar to what we're talking about: "If the devil can get you to laugh at it, you'll never take it serious again."
Yeah.
And it's really interesting when we're thinking about just life in general as families, is that the comedic relief that we see on network television or whatever gets us to begin pointing it's almost normalizing things that should be of shock.
Cultural shift. And again, what's our goal? Is our goal to tell you what to do? It is not really, and this is going to be Sunday's goal when we talk about culture. I want you to be proactive in the life of your family.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to preach the sermon. Just show up Sunday. We're going to deal with some really good stuff for understanding what it is we're at war against.
I think I've heard you actually say it before about some like old school country songs, but it's amazing what some of the lyrics of the songs are that we love. We love it because of the beat, or we like the musician. Mm-hmm. But when we actually push, and we can say open the veil of looking at the lyrics of the songs,
they're different.
The lyrics are not okay.
So I'm going to shift gears on you.
Yeah.
Tell me some songs growing up that you misunderstood the lyrics of.
Well, let me say this. The first song I remember thinking, wow, I never even thought of it this way. I was at an FCA rally, and this young lady was talking about the importance of what we listening to. And she read the songs, one of the lyrics of Britney Spears songs, and it was about like "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time." And so she actually shared how this is about like abuse of women. Like, are you serious right now? And so I was like, wow, I knew that song. I'd heard it. I didn't necessarily I was never a Britney Spears fan, but like I was thinking, wow, I can't imagine. Why is this such a popular song? And this is talking about abusing ladies. Mm-hmm. Like it made zero sense. So, but back in the day, there's a lot of songs that I would say like I didn't really fully understand, but I love Bone Thugs and Harmony. I don't know if you know. Did you ever listen to them?
Say that again.
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
No.
Anybody?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
You got songs that is more 90s rap. Yeah. And there were things that they talked about that I liked that I didn't realize at the time. I just thought the beat was great. It made sense. It harmonized. And it sounded good, but the lyrics just were not okay.
Yeah. As a family, and we're going to kind of wrap this up, it's tough.
Yeah.
It is tough. And again, this is what people fight about, and we're not trying to get you to fight. We're trying to get you to think that sometimes a very, very small thing can make a very, very big impact in the life of your child.
That's really good. I not too long ago, I was away with the Army talking about doing a marriage retreat. One of the things we talked about, and I'll just mention this in relation to this because I think it fits really well, is we talked about the importance of having values as a family. And I think a very practical thing to do to know, is this movie, is this song, is this TV show, is it worth our watching? Is to really figure out what are the values that you want to instill in your family. And if a show doesn't fulfill that value, then why would you watch it?
Right.
If we really try to push everything that we are to accomplish the values that we have set together as a family, right? And Alice and I years ago did a mission statement for our family, and we have these values. One of them is Christian education, which one we send our kids to CHA. But we sacrifice for that, right? And there's things that our kids don't get to do because of the things that we hold as
what you value.
Mm-hmm. And I think that if we really would get, and it really changed us as a couple and as a family, if we really got serious to say, what are the things that we really value? And then everything that we do from this point on is going to be to help us live out these values. Then it makes it a whole lot easier when you're trying to decide, are we going to listen to this song or are we going to watch this show? Because as a couple, you're already on the same page. If this is it's going to be a no because it doesn't help us live out these values.
Yeah, it's what we're about. It's who we are.
Right.
Hey, be here this weekend and the next weekend. Matthew is preaching
Yeah.
on how to fight.
And not lose influence.
Not lose
I'm
influence.
really, it's going to be, I'm really excited about the message. It's going to be really, I think, helpful. All of us know that we have people that we love that have differences of opinions. And if we're not careful, we can let our passion over a value actually ruin the relationship that we have with the people we say we love most.
Going off, tell them about our weekend decisions. Because most people don't know. You're looking at me like, what are you talking about?
Tell me the weekend.
Starting point.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was
all the
cool.
different things that happened and like what the harvest was.
Yeah, you know what? One of the things, let me say this. Starting Point is not just a time to learn about the values that we in the mission that we have as a church. It really is a time that you get to think more intentionally on the decisions you've even made as a couple or as a person. This Sunday's Starting Point, 11:45, we had like 20 people in there that all chose to join our church, which was awesome. But more than that, we had 3 people give their life to Jesus. 9 additional people say that they're ready to take their next step and be baptized. I think in a service,
We had 2 in the service
say they, what?
for baptism.
Baptism. It's, I heard someone say this recently. It's about their church. They've been experiencing things, and it made me feel about our church. He said, I feel like I'm a kite stuck in the wind of a hurricane. And I feel like, the things that we're experiencing as a church has just been so amazing lately.
Well, I say that because the last verse, one of the last 2 verses of the chapter we read in the BRP today, said that when the grace of the gospel is shared, that it should make us a grateful people.
Wow.
And
Yes.
to see people come to the knowledge of that grace, choose to follow Jesus is a reason that we have to be grateful, and we are. We're grateful for you. We're grateful for what God's doing.
I love this church.
Yeah, it's cool. Hey, we love you guys. We'll see you next week on The Road Detour.
See you guys.